Yes, hello. I am James Rowland, and today it's the WNR532. It's WWE Bash at Berlin. I'm not alone. I have a pleasure to be joined by the entire WNR team. Up first by my side for every WWE and AEW show is a fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. How's it going, Jaxie? Oh, she's done it again.
Hello.
Yeah, you did it again,
Sorry,
didn't you? I knew you did it.
The mute button would not work. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Bash at Berlin. I hope you're well tonight.
Oh, we're all very well catching up with it. You know, like I said, but we lead busy lives, don't we? So it's nice to get together to have a look at WWE.
We do. I'm excited to talk about the Bash and everything that happened. I got some words to say about certain matches, so I look forward to this one.
Well, up next, our resident NXT expert and New Japan demigod, it is Monty. How's it going, man?
I'm doing good. Like you mentioned, always exciting to be back talking wrestling with you guys. So, yeah, I'm doing relatively well. I could complain, but I'm not going to waste your time.
I feel 2024 is your year. You know, at this moment in time, when it comes to wrestling, I don't know personally, but again, it just feels like, you know, as we are in September now, and it's been pretty good. And again, you're in quite a good position overall in like the prediction league.
Yeah, man, I've been faring well. I don't know. I'm not going to act like I got any cheat codes, but I told you at the beginning of the year, I'm borrowing the G site. I'm trying to rob Gina of it, so maybe it actually works.
To be fair, it might have done, and I hope you're not taking performance-enhancing drugs for the podcast, all right? So we'll leave it there. But last, but by no means least, we speak about the G site. Ik ben die babysitter van Don Zagonstad und wir bedanken sein der Babyschulden ob hat. Single Gott und ganze Bett der Babysit Boogie, Woogie Song und the God, the Boogie Booger Wagger. That is the Babysitter Boogie even, by Ralph Bendix. One of the few German songs, and again, it was in that or Dick Titten. So I weren't really sure, but Gina, that's what you get. And what I'm going to try and say is that our baby. I don't know if that works or not. Hello, Gina.
Yeah, nobody puts me in the corner. Thank you, James. I mean, fair play to you with the commitment to going for a German song. So fair play. Welcome on.
I'm a cunning linguist, so you know.
You say that again, 10 times over. Yeah.
I know. But you're here. You know, we've had more awkward entrances, but not that many. But you are here on the show, catching up with WWE.
For sure. But I do feel like Monty has stolen the G site from me and is hogging it, to be fair. So we shall see if he continues to hog it in the Bash, I guess.
Well, guys, we've got the Bash, we've got All Out, and we've got No Mercy. And I'm feeling confident. But we're going to start right now. And, of course, it's going to be a big show. We've got the Bash at Berlin and everything like that. Catch up with Raw and SmackDown as well. August 16th, SmackDown with Michin ruined Nia Jax's title celebration. More annoying was her stopping Pretty Deadly in the musical. No, boy. Come on, that's what we want. Melo beat Andrade to make it 1-2. And, of course, it's not over. Blair Davenport got big swing knocking off Naomi. Profits beat DIY in a banger. And we saw Roman Reigns taken out. And it's always weird, Jaxie, isn't it, when we go back to see what happened after, of course, what's happened recently. But Reigns was taken out by the Bloodline, and this is one of those stories that's not featured at the Bash, but a kind of one of the main things in WWE at the moment.
Yeah, exactly. But they kind of didn't want to like feature too much surrounding it, like in terms of like the promotion going into Bash. However, they are letting us know that this feud is still around and it's still brewing. So I'm kind of really intrigued to see how things are going to play out, because you know, in seeing this not squash but burial of Roman at this point, you've got to think, is Roman going to start contemplating what allies he's got now? You know, there's so many names that we kind of already know or already feel like are going to reunite or join up with the tribal chief, the OG tribal chief. But it's an exciting time because you've got that festering in the background and those living questions of who's going to be the first to sort of rejoin back up. We've got to remember, like, Jimmy was taken out by the new bloodline. We haven't seen him since. Even though Jay's doing his own thing, he's not going to forget that, like, things are brewing over there. So I'm sure he'll get re-dragged into it. We've kind of already, like, discussed potentialness of Sammy even joining up. But I'm, again, intrigued to see who may look to come to the tribal chief's aid, because obviously across 4 years he's dominated so much and created so many enemies. It's going to be an interesting time for them, and their time is to come, but not yet.
No, but again, I think it's an excellent point, and people may be thinking, the bloodline story might be told quickly, as you just mentioned. His reign was 4 years long, so this bloodline fallout, everybody expecting, War Games Survivor Series, it might be, but that might be next year, Like I said, there's a lot of story to go into it before we get there. We'll move on to Raw, August 19th. Sheamus beat Pete Dunne. Punk Drew will be a strap match. Reed destroyed Miz and on collision course with Braun. We saw Priest and Dom, but we actually saw Judgment Day laying out the Terror Twins and standing tall. And Monty, we've needed this for a long time, haven't we? Again, we're going to get into the Bash, but the problem is you need strong heels versus faces. And to see the Judgment Day beat down the Terror Twins is just what we needed.
Yeah, I mean, if it's one thing that they're lacking, because as great as Finn is, he has been beside a big guy like Priest for a while now, and he kind of has to reestablish himself as a legit, heel threat, and I think Dom, as good as a heel as he is, he's definitely on the cowardly side, not necessarily on the threatening side. So I think they, like you said, Liv has been basically, for the most part, up to this point, talking a big game. But whenever Rhea has been around, she has been pretty much running. So I think, again, everybody that's in this storyline from a Judgment Day perspective needs this because, again, we know JD is basically going to be the guy who's taking the major bumps and the falls. Carlito is also another guy who can lose, but, has been here for basically a little bit of comic relief for the most part. So you need something about this Judgment Day to actually feel like a threat. Otherwise, we just know the Terror Twins are just dwarfing the Judgment Day when it comes to being legit threats and star power. So I think this was, like you said, very necessary. And I think they need as much of it as they can, even if it's not just on the Terror Twins. I think this Judgment Day, if they're going to be taken even closely, seriously compared to the old Judgment Day, they have to be just as much of a threat to the entire roster, not just the Terror Twins.
Yeah, without a doubt. We see Unholy Union, Isla Dawn and Alba Fire defended their titles against Baszler and Stark and Saint of EO. Orton beat Kaiser as well. SmackDown 23rd of August, LA Knight retained versus Santos. Cargill, Belair and Naomi beat Fire, Dawn and Blair. Bloodline beat the Profits. The Grayson Waller effect, the Bad Boys tried to tell Cody Owens couldn't be trusted. Thus leading to a main event with Rose and KO beating Waller and Theory. It is crazy how much better Raw is at the moment to SmackDown. But Gina, was Theory right? Was Waller right? Can Owens be trusted? Like I said, Cody's making friends with someone who's got a history of destroying friendships, shall we say.
Sorry, now my mute button's not working properly. No, they do make a good point. I mean, I can see what they're trying to do and plant those seeds and just have, like, Cody start doubting his friendship with KO. But they do make some good points, especially with some of the footage that they showed. It kind of like backed up. It was like
the facts
good evidence to back up, what they were trying to say and the point they were trying to make. So in a way, Theory and Waller weren't wrong here. They're like, make sure you truly trust him because look at his track record. That's not to say it was going to happen or wasn't going to happen, but it's like, I think it's a clever tactic by those two to just plant that in Cody's mind, and especially with the evidence that they have to back it up, it is now going to kind of sit there and just, even if Cody is going to stay proud and be like, nah, that's my friend, bruv, he's still probably going to remember those little clips showing him actually KO has done this to everyone he's close to. So, interesting.
Yeah, we move on to Raw. Judgment Day beat LWO. Damage Control defeated Pure Fusion Collective in the first IC title number 1 contender triple threat match. Kofi against Jey Uso. Karrion Kross battled each other. Jey won. We got an autumn promo. Gunther's never been humbled, but on Saturday in Berlin, that's exactly what he planned to do. Braun versus Bronson. Well, having caused chaos and damage everywhere. They fought around a car with Strowman chokeslamming his opponent on it and tossing him across it. Reed recovered and downed the Monster Among member a pipe and then delivered possibly his best tsunami ever, crushing the big man through the roof of the car and exploding the windows out of it. Jaxie, we talk about Bronson Reed before. We know about him. But this run at the moment, and much like Braun Strowman back in the day with the Path of Destruction, he knew this was so well done.
It really was. This was explosive, like literally and physically. This actually got me paying attention. You know, this was such a good move by WWE to kind of create this sort of big man feud between Braun and Bronson. But you're right. Like, this is really starting to showcase Bronson, and like I think Monty would agree with me here. Like, this is like the start of seeing New Japan Bronson. You know, what was he known as in Japan?
Jonah.
Is he known as Jonah? Okay, yeah. This is the start of Jonah, like that we're seeing, like this sort of recklessness, but this mad drive to showcase he's the bigger guy. You know, I'm kind of loving what I'm seeing here, especially with like kind of what else has taken place between the two. So I'm really intrigued by this, and yeah, it was a good segment. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. The second Intercontinental title number 1 contenders tournament triple threat saw Xavier Woods, The Miz and Pete Dunne vie for a chance, with Dunne winning as well. Thank fuck for that. Gable versus Uncle Howdy. Before the main event of Raw, Bo Dallas's last match in WWE came on November 13th, 2019, in a tag match that included Chad Gable. As for this match, interference from Ivanhoe and the Creed brothers late kept Gable in the match. Dexter Lumis, Joe Gacy at Rowan appeared, fended off the heels and allowed Howdy to secure the victory with his sister, Abigail. And Monty, man, it seems like we're talking about this every month, but again, the presentation of Uncle Howdy and everything's kind of going into it is just working so well. And again, the added layer of it being Bo Dallas in this position is just, I don't know, man, there's a magical entity to it in a weird way.
Yeah, you know, the interesting thing about that is I think I just love like the duality of it all. I think we all know there's a lot of similarities to what they are doing right now to what was done in the past with Bray. But it's just a lot less supernatural, way more set in reality. And I think when you connect that with, like you said, the fact that it's a Chad Gable, the story that they're trying to tell about, basically Bo being a guy who lost his family. So if someone, like, you can easily make this a heel too. I think that's what I kind of like about it. But I also love the angle of, if anyone is turning on their considered family or faction or whatever you want to look at that way, the wides are always possibly watching. And I love that element of it. But the match itself was really good. It was full of callbacks to Bray. And I think, to be honest, there's only one criticism I had about the entire thing is that, maybe they should just drop the wig and just let Bo rock his regular hair. And then let the mask continue. You can keep the mask on and all that, but I don't know if the wig is necessary, even though I don't know if that was a part. That could have been something that Bray really enjoyed about the Howdy character or whatever, so I don't know what reasoning that they're keeping that, but I do believe that might be like the only drawback to the entire thing, to what he's doing in the ring. But it was still great to see him. It was a great match. It was a great, again, like you said, everything they've done so far with the Uncle Howdy character have just kept me interested, and they've done it the right way, I believe. I think everything about this has been done well, and I think at first when they were talking about bringing this back, a lot of people were probably rightly so not sure how far this could go. But honestly, I think that this could always be a fun part of any card if they continue to present it this way.
Yeah, I think without doubt, and I think you're bang on as well, especially with like this Uncle Howdy character. You don't want to say like the wig kind of taking you out and going, "No, that's a bit weird." Like I said, it makes sense to kind of just have the mask on as well.
He was kind of struggling with it himself, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Like, it was just so much hair, if you see what I'm saying. If they're not going to take the wig off, at least get rid of some of the hair. That's all.
Yeah, without doubt. So we'll move on to the Bash kickoff, and we are in Berlin, so don't mention a war. Michael Cole hosting, and Miz taking the Pat McAfee role. Well, he has to do something, I suppose. CM Punk was first out, and the crowd loves him. Drew next, and he was having fun. He was shouting at the Germans. Who doesn't? Cole did burn Drew, but McIntyre tells the fans to do one. Dom and Liv, but they don't hang around long enough to see the Terror Twins arrive. Gunther came out to a hero's welcome. Do you know what? I don't think I've seen him this happy. And Gina, this is weird for heels, especially someone like Gunther. But to come to Germany, near his, home country, as a champion, it must be fucking brilliant for him.
Definitely. Like you said, you could see it all over his face. Like, I've never actually seen, like, you've seen Gunther smile, but, that's kind of scripted, or like, is when he's telling a promo and he's acting his heelish self. Like, the genuine smile you could see on him in his, like, home country, you could tell it was genuine. So it was really nice to kind of see that small little side to him.
Yeah, no, really, really good.
It reminds you he's a human. Not just a ring general.
And Randy Orton is 70% German as well. So, he's got something to say, but we all knew that from his career anyway. The more you know. SmackDown, Berlin looked great. And again, with the kickoff, or, with SmackDown, it was WWE just flexing their muscle here and saying, look what we can do. We are a truly worldwide company. LA Knight started the show with his open challenge for the US title. Ludwig Kaiser answered the call, and Jaxie, that was the biggest pop of his life. And we just spoke about Gunther, but I mean, Kaiser might have come up short, but what a great moment for him, an actual German.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it was surprising, but then like not so much when you quickly remember where you are at how popular he was, because. Again, it's not meant to be like a dig when I say this, but it's not the same type of pop that he gets when he's over like doing his thing in America, So the shock of cheers was it was fascinating, and also I think well deserved.
Yeah, I think without a doubt. And again, even through social media, people try and ruin it by showing him. Pretending he's doing something that he actually wasn't when he was just waving to the crowd, but I'm not going to waste that much time on that. Legado got a win, but it was against Corbin and Cruz, so who cares? They should be called Future Endeavored as a tag team name. They pay tribute to Villano V, or 5 as it was, who passed away at 62. Cody and Owens faced off. Melo beat Andrade to level the series 2-2. And Nia Jax beat Michin in a street fight. Tiff and Bayley got involved. But again, Monty, we spoke about this. Because the pay-per-views aren't so stacked, they can then kind of load up the Raws and SmackDowns. And you can see it here with Nia Jax match, put the title line. And it gives it a bigger feel as well. And a reason to actually buy tickets.
Yeah, man. And I've seen some people who don't really like that. They would prefer these on pay-per-views. But I kind of think it works for me mostly because not only does it give you a reason, but it also incentivizes that especially the go home or the last show right before the big event is just as important as the big event. And at least that's what they're at least trying to do to an extent, to give people more of a reason to watch their regular TV instead of just doing the predictable, let's do a promo, let's do a last minute thing. And then some of these other titles can be presented on that Friday, or or that show that's right before the big event. And I think that, like you said, they give those Raw and SmackDowns a more legit feel, and it also leads into the big show the next day in a great way. But it all, like you mentioned, it's even better when they're in a place when they're in these places that they don't really go often. That it, like you said, it gives those people who don't really get to see this all the time more incentive and just like a bigger deal, bigger reason to go to these shows and be as exciting as they tend to be. I'm interested. I really want to know, like, how is Atlanta going to fare with it, with Bad Blood? Is it just going to be a regular SmackDown, or are they going to do a pep rally? Are they going to be? We know they won't have anything on the European crowds, but it'll be nice if some of the American pay-per-view cities too start to try to adopt a more exciting feel just because of a big event.
Yeah, and maybe stop charting what. But again, that's the Americans, isn't it? What can we do?
Shoot, it don't matter, and that's AEW Impact. It doesn't matter where you at, apparently, too. Like I don't know why. I don't get it, man.
Yeah, right. I don't know. Anyway, let's get to it. August 31st, Berlin, Germany. It is Bash time. The kickoff. Michael Cole hosting. Easy for me to say. Miz, Big E. It was 2 hours, but hey, if Byron Saxton can get a chant, anyone can. We got a Randy Orton sit down, talks about return, saying Punk return really annoyed him. And again, Gina, I don't want to go off on a tangent too much, but I quite like this about WWE nowadays, where they can actually mention the fact, and Orton talks about, like, yeah, I was a little bit annoyed that I returned after a year and a half. Then we had CM Punk, because normally we just wouldn't even know this information.
Yeah, definitely. They like to point things out like that now, make more to make like the story more impactful, for sure. But again, it also just helps people who maybe didn't catch up on an episode or two. So it helps remind and refresh the memory of like past beef or things, that they would feel displeased about from the past. So it's a good thing in a way.
Without doubt. Pete Rosenberg in the crowd. He interviews Bianca and Cargill. Jackie interviews Dom and Liv. Kathy interviews Priest and Ripley. Byron with Trips, who actually wrestled in Germany the last time WWE was there, back in 1997. We had the Miz main event menu. How's that not a show? Cody Owens sit down with Graves. Gunther said it's not going to be easy. Part 2 of Orton interview. Insight to Gunther training. And again, I don't know if it's just me, but Gunther saying he's working on his neck to try and nullify the RKO. And again, it's just these little things that just make it a little bit better. Punk interviewed, Big E and Miz were good, but it's still not worth 2 hours. So on to the main show then, and we start off with the undisputed WWE Championship match, Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens. The fans erupted during a pre-match stare down with chants of "Welcome to Berlin" and "In Your Face," even though it did sound like All Elite Wrestling. Now, Jaxie, I'm not sure about you, but I thought it sounded a bit like that. But the crowd, as Monty said, especially in Europe at this moment in time, the arena, it was just ready for some action. It was brilliant.
Yeah, it's a brilliant way to start the show. I don't know necessarily whether or not I noticed those chants. I think I'd have to go back to rewatch that. I can't really remember. If I'm truly honest about that. But it was deafening. The roar was deafening. Everyone was excited and ready for it to start. I mean, also, just to add, after a 2-hour pre-show that literally had no matches, what did you expect? Everyone was raring to go.
Yeah, to be fair. But they did pack it out at the start. Just give them credit. And like you said, the electricity was palpable. The crowd was split right down the middle with chanting both competitors' names in support of both champion and challenger, and neither worked as heels, with the story instead focused on whether Owens would rediscover the edge that led to his prior successes. There was, of course, dramatic near falls on the tail end of notable finishes, and the crowd was red hot for everything, including the senton that Rose countered, getting his knees up. But Kevin Owens refused to capitalise on the injured knee of Cody and deliver an apron powerbomb that probably would have won him the W Championship. In the end, it was a crossroads that ended Owens' championship quest. KO looked pissed after, but hugged it out with Cody. Monty, start us off. What a great way to start.
Yeah, 100%, man. Just another strong contest. Two guys that just get it and they get each other. You can tell they kind of have a chemistry, even though I don't really know how many times they even ever had a chance to even fight in reality ever. But they really brought it. I thought this was a really good opener, a perfect way to book, a kind of double face particular thing. I kind of didn't. I was one of those guys. I'm not gonna say I criticize it because I understand what they're trying to do, but just for me, the Kevin Owens I know, and I kind of understand that that's kind of the point. But the Kevin Owens I know hesitating in a big time title match. When you think about the title drought that he's on, it really was kind of for a second there. I was like, man, I don't really like that, but I get it because again, that's part of the story they're trying to tell with this new, not necessarily a new and improved Kevin Owens, but what Kevin Owens, the type of guy he has been for a while now, if we're being honest. So and like also putting over their friendship, and that was basically the entire story. So I absolutely understand what they were doing with that, but I do think, like I said, this was just a really good way to book two guys who are faces, but still make the match competitive and really good. And I just think it's very interesting, like you mentioned, James, talking about this match or talking about stuff like this, knowing what I know now. And I can just already see the gears are turning in my head for the future. So I just must say that when we do talk about what happens after this, uh, you know, the Kevin Owens, they have real potential right now, in my opinion, for a very, very fun next few months or so with the direction they could possibly go with Kevin Owens. Because of matches like this, even at the time, it just seemed like a really good title defense. But I really like when you think about where they're going now, how this could be something we can look back at as maybe something very interesting in the story of Kevin Owens going forward. This is a really good match.
Doubt. It was, and I love these international shows and, the crowd. But again, to start with this match this big was really good. And Gina, as Monty was saying about Owens, it's crazy to think it's been 7 years since he won singles gold. The way they kind of told the story in this matchup was just as good as kind of anything that we've seen anywhere at the moment,
Oh, definitely. I think it just kind of showcased and reminded everyone why KO is still on our screens quite frequently. The match was just great, and it just showed off like how well like Cody and KO can work with each other to put on such a great match at the beginning of the show and have like everybody just so invested. It is a shocker to think about the fact that it's been that long since KO held a title. Seriously. Is that including like tag titles, or is that just singles gold?
Tag obviously with Sami Zayn. Was it last year or this year? I don't know. But again, he's
I was going to say he
was
a tag champ with Sami at one point I can remember. But yeah, in terms of singles gold, it's crazy to think of how long it's been since he's actually held anything. But regardless, I think he still kind of showcased us why he would have still been a great choice even if he did win against Cody, because yeah, he's just awesome and he's charismatic. Everyone loves KO.
What about doubt? And the crowd love both. And Jaxie, I think when it comes to like two baby faces going at it, it's sometimes difficult. Maybe the crowd doesn't know, but the crowd still doesn't want to boo Cody, and of course they love Kevin Owens. And again, reaction they both got was again really great way to start the show.
It was extremely positive, I think, throughout. So like there was like kind of an easy lean towards KO, but I still don't think that that's an issue or a problem. I think they both put on a great match, and there were some excellent points that were made throughout all of it that I totally agree with. But it was a really fun way to open the show, and Kevin and Cody worked so well together. Just like Monty said, I feel like there's intrigue into the direction that they could go with Kevin Owens at this point. So, again, extremely positive way to start Bash at Berlin.
Without doubt. No shade to Booker, but Wade is the main colour guy in WWE in my eyes. He shines at these events as well, and it was funny KO telling him to shut up. Speaking of elite performers, Samantha Irvin as well is a class above. Michael Cole on commentary says Solo is next. I don't know since when. And we also learned the Crossroads doesn't work well when hit twice. Gets job done once or 3 times, never twice. Monty, what do you score out of 5?
Really good opener. I gave him 4.25.
4.25. Gina?
Yeah, I'll go with the same 4.25.
Jaxie?
Same 4.25.
I'm going to give it 4.5. Predictions, of course, the WNR Prediction Leagues 2024 after All In before Bash and NXT. The bonus league, Monty with 21, Gina and James on 14, Jaxie on 8, WWE James and Monty on 4, Gina, Jaxie on 2, and AEW James, Jaxie on 3, Gina, Monty on 2. For predictions here, we all went Cody, so all on 1. And we've got the WWE Women's Tag Team title next, Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair versus Unholy Union. Fire and Dawn isolated Belair for the majority of the middle portion of the contest and cutting off any attempts to Cargill to get into the match. By the time the ESTW finally made the tag, Cargill exploded into the match, intensifying the action, and up in the urgency, a late save in which she pulled Belair out of the way and allowed Fire to crash into the waiting knees of her own partner, set up the finish. Blair and Cargill double-teamed Dawn and became your new tag team champions. Gina, thanks, son. I mean, what were your thoughts on this? I mean, I was going to think, like, thanks, Unholy Union. We barely knew you.
Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong. I think Unholy Union are a good tag team. They just weren't given a decent run in my eyes. You know, it doesn't seem long since they've sort of won the belts to the fact that they were losing them so quickly again as well. But it's also not surprising in a way. I know that they wanted to put those belts back on Cargo and Belair. So in a way, it's not shocking. The match was good, and I think like it was better than their Clash at the Castle match. But I do feel like it was kind of a obvious match to go with, you know. But it would be nice to see if there are any tag teams that start to form that actually look like a formidable enough team to go against Jade and Bianca. But right now, I think it was the right call to put the belts on them.
I think without a doubt. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this? Because I did like the matching gear, but I want to know what you thought, because, again, it just felt a bit, I don't know, rushed.
Yeah. For me, I took a gamble with this, and I actually went with Alba Fire and what's her name, Dawn, to retain. I kind of figured that there would be more like a potential interference or maybe like disarray. I kind of thought at this point they had taken the belts so prematurely off of Jade and Bianca because they were thinking about having sort of maybe a Jade heel turn potentially to start a feud between these two ladies and like have them both go on a singles run. I kind of thought it was kind of more going that way. I'm not disappointed that they re-became the champions, but yeah, again, I do question why bother drop the titles to Fire and Dawn in the first place, because again, just like my sister really did point out, like there's no real teams at the moment that we really think could formidably win against Bianca and Jade. So at this point, like I just kind of wondered whether or not there would be room for that with Alba Fire and Dawn retaining. So that, yeah, I saw this kind of win coming out of nowhere in terms of I thought there would be a singles run between these two ladies, but maybe that was too prematurely, and they will do that during this sort of current title run with the tag belts. I just kind of hope they get a decent run with it this time and not just have it abruptly taken off them so quickly like they already have had. You know?
Yeah, you're without a doubt. And again, I mean, with Kaylee Ray, she's got most of the records in NXT when it comes for certain things, and can definitely go in the ring, as we know. And Dawn is lush as well. But I think it's more of a case, and I don't know if it's fair to say this, but I think Bianca is just waiting for Jade to kind of catch up before they go down that singles route. Would that be fair to say, Monty, at this time?
Yeah, I think WWE probably, like you said, until they're ready to allow Jade to kind of run and do her own thing. I really don't even think Jade. A lot of people keep saying Jade turning heel, which I wouldn't be mad at all because I think she's natural at it. I also wouldn't count out Bianca doing it too because Bianca has been the same type of babyface for so long. That could be an interesting swerve in a way too. But honestly, let's just be real. I think the thing is about this is that everybody else is a tag team and Jade and Bianca is a super team. And at the end of the day, when you have a team like that not only are they better than most of their opponents physically, they just fit better than almost everyone else. At least when you go off presentation, you can almost. That's the only reason why I was like, yeah, I don't really see them beating them in a one-on-one. Because you got to remember, they only won the belts in the triple threat type of scenario, and that was in their hometown. So like I know a lot of people don't like it, but at the end of the day, it was for the fact that they were where they were, in my opinion. And I'm not saying there was anything wrong with it. I'm like you guys. I do believe at some point they're going to have to. I don't know. I'm almost tired of saying it, but the entire length of the life line of the tag division and the women's division, there hasn't been a legit like division. There's always been one or two teams, the champs, and then maybe like one other team or two teams that they can legit run with at a given time. But there hasn't ever really been a division. And either I think if you're not ready to turn Jade or turn Bianca or let them go on their own, I always thought, well, give them the belts that they probably shouldn't have lost and try to build somewhat of a division. We have all of these, the three, we have like Katana and Kaden. Do I believe they can beat them? No. You have the fusion team. Do I think they can beat them? Probably. Like, I don't think they can, but like at least you have the thought process of like a screw job type of deal. Maybe because it's 3-on-2. But even then, it's still like I don't think so. Then you have Io and Kyrie. That's probably the best bet right now. But again, you really have two teams really feeling like above every other female tag team that's fighting for these belts at the moment. So at some point, they're probably either going to have to invest in actually making a division, or like you guys mentioned, get those belts off these girls because it's just no one that we realistically believe can take it off them in a legit tag match that's fair. But I didn't mind. I thought the match itself was probably better than you would expect. I think Jade, in my opinion, is good, but I think WWE is waiting until they're confident enough to where they can present her in different ways, when it's not just dominant victories, not just, and I think even in her match with Nia Jax, Jade showed that she can sell. She has the potential to be good on her own. I just think they want it to be to where she's completely comfortable with it. And I think until then, working with Bianca is probably the best way for her to just get more and more reps. I've already seen the improvement. So I can only imagine how it would be if they decide to drag this to Mania. I don't know if they will, but I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, without doubt. So out of 5 then, Gina, what would you give it?
I mean, I enjoyed the match. I'm good. I'll give it a 4.
You give it a 4. Jaxie?
I'm gonna give this a 3.5.
3.5. And Monty?
3 3/4.
I'm going to give it a 4. Predictions, we all went Belair and Cargill, apart from Jaxie. Jackson won the rest on 2. Up next, strap match, CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. McIntyre got the jump on Punk this time, attacking him from behind and for the bell. Nice touch given how often the tables have been turned in this feud. Punk down McIntyre but refused to touch the turnbuckles, determined to punish Scott instead of beating him. The competition team criticised him for making a similar mistake to his SummerSlam performance. Punk set up a table rather than waiting to be driven through it. McIntyre rolled in the ring, forcing his opponent back inside. He rocked the Second City Saint with a claymore from there. Punk cut off McIntyre's attempt to win the match by sliding out the ring and pulling on the strap, driving the heel face first into a steel chair in the corner. Drew put Punk through a table at ringside. Punk applied the sharpshooter and could neutralise McIntyre for a moment since there were no rules. And then in the end, Punk had to hit the go-to-sleep 4 times. 4 times! And retrieving the bracelet with the names of his wife and dog on it and touching all 4 corners. He then kissed the bracelet, which was down Drew's trunks. Jaxie, what were your thoughts on this?
Okay, so I mean, this match like actually was really good. Kanye really showcased CM Punk well until like the finisher. I kind of feel like that could have been. I don't know whether or not the four sort of like go to sleeps was the right route. And yeah, like you said, I was kind of really put off of him kissing that bracelet after it was in his pants. It was really gross.
I didn't know we had that in common.
Yeah, I feel like this match needed to do what it needed to do, you know, like in terms of like the amount of like shit Drew has put Punk through, and what kind of followed as well, just kind of left like more to sort of like discuss. But it was just yeah, it was really good. I just felt like the ending was a little bit weird, the way that it was done. Like I don't know if the like four moves was necessary, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird to think of a feud as well that's kind of cooled down since they wrestled, but I think, Monty, with this one, they kind of turned it up and kind of showed what they can actually do. And as Jaxie said, I think Punk looked really good in this matchup compared to maybe SummerSlam.
Yeah, I think he got his wing. He got his legs up under him. You know, you got at the end of the day, it's just like American football. Athletes love to tell you that the only way you get in shape and when playing football is by playing football. You know, and I think the same thing goes for wrestling. The only way you can really get going while you're in pro wrestling, you got to get in that ring. You got to actually be in front of that crowd, and you got to go. And I think you can see that improvement. I think the only thing I'll say about this feud cooling off is it's tough when you've been feuding with someone since January and all the talking is done. I don't think there's nothing else they really can say to each other. We get it. How many times you gonna reiterate how much you hate another person and you know why? So like, and then you don't want to do too much physical because then it's like, all right, then what's the point of me putting you in this brutal stipulation? If every time we see you, we've already seen you do this and do that. The four GTSs, I kind of understood the mind state because you gotta look at a finishing move. Usually, is just putting your opponent down for a 3 count. Well, in this case, it's not. You can't win the match that way anyway, so he doesn't really care about that. He just wants to keep kneeing him in the face about you and his doing his finisher. So that's the way I kind of look at it. I just kind of looked at it like, oh yeah, just no, fuck him. Give him a couple. Give him 2 more. Yeah. Right? Yeah. Just fuck Drew. Give him 2 more. Like, you know, like that's just the way I looked at it because I think at this point this feud is way past the normal match logic. Like they don't really like. Yeah, it matters who wins at the end of the day, but like that's why they're not fighting for belts pretty much at this point. They just hate each other, and I think that's what this was about. I think the sharpshooter was nice. The match, the energy, the crowd, the way, like you said, the way Punk looked, this felt like the real. Like if you didn't like the first match and you didn't think that was his return, and I heard it was a lot of people who had something to say because whenever Punk does anything, it's always going to be people who love it, and it's going to be people who hate it. All those people who had a lot to say about him not having it anymore and all that, I didn't hear any of that after this match because, like you guys mentioned, they did a really good job of showing if he still has those weaknesses that some people feel like he has. They did a good job of protecting him in the strap match because he really, really looked good. Drew looked really good too. This was way more even than the first match because I felt like CM Punk just got his ass kicked. SummerSlam for the most part. If you just watch every spot, like Drew was beating the hell out of him, which makes sense though because Drew is a big guy and he should get most of that in. But yeah, this was good, man. Really, really good. Probably, like you said, one of those things that can reignite and refreshen a feud that if you thought it was dying down, you watch this match, you're like, okay, yeah, this is the energy I want. And, you know, some people maybe didn't like the other match because they thought it was a little bit too, you know, not like feeling like a fight. This felt like a fight.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Gina, we mentioned it on the AW show and talk about people to get over it, but Punk wearing his all-in outfit. I mean, get over it for fuck's sake. It's just like you think it's over and then it rears its head again, you know?
Yeah, it stinks a little bit. You're just like, that's not necessary, Punk. Come on. Lame.
Yeah, but again, Punk's first win in WWE for a decade, and like we said, let's hope he can go on a consistent run now.
Yeah, for sure. Although, is this the end of it?
Well, we shall find out. We did get a call back to Punk and Umaga strap match as well, which was good times. And weirdly enough, Drew has a better PLE record in the US compared to Europe, where he is 0-3 at this moment in time. And we saw him lose to Jay at the O2. So I don't know what's going on. And the Killers Game film sponsored it. And I don't know about you guys, but I did like the look of one of the people in it. But, maybe check that out. Out of 5, then, we are going to give the scores. Jaxie, what would you give it?
I'm going to give this a 4.25. I still think it was a good match.
Monty?
Yeah, I love Batista. That's what you're talking about, right? 4.5.
Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I still thought it was a good match. I'm not going to lie. I'm not the biggest fan of the whole touching 4 posts to win. I don't mind the strap match, but I just think the whole touching the 4 posts to win is a bit lame. So that I could have done without really and just had a pin win. But aside from that, I enjoyed it. I'll give it a 4.25.
You hate tradition. That's fine. Predictions all went Drew, Jackson on 2, the rest on 3. Bash at Berlin is the biggest arena show in WWE history. Yes, the Germans have money, but my God, it is crazy, the records this year. Then Rhea Ripley and Damon Priest, the Terror Twins, versus Liv Morgan and Dominic Mysterio. And the crowd exploded for the entry of Ripley into the match off a hot tag from Priest, and grew even louder when she got hands and legs on Dom. The Terror Twins appeared to be en route to a dominant victory, only for the remaining members of the Judgment Day to appear. What could have been costly for Priest and Ripley proved to be a roadblock, as the Arch of Infamy dispatched the Hills, setting Mummy to flatten Morgan with a Riptide and score the win. Monty, the Terror Twins are money, but I mean, what are your thoughts on this match?
Yeah, I thought it was good. It felt kind of safe. It felt like the safe, because I do think I maintain that although you won't see it in my prediction because I decided to play it safe. I maintain that exactly. I like that. No,
Yeah.
Come on, you'll talk about it in a minute. But anyway, the point is, I just thought it was safe. I thought it was good. Everybody did their job the right way. I thought the way, like you said, the way the Terror Twins were presented, they're superstars in the making. If you just can't tell with the way they just look, they fit really well together. Their presentation, and just two big badasses doing their thing and being dominant. I think, and then they're both out for revenge. It just makes sense. And but I think, like I mentioned, it's still the safe idea, in my opinion, to do it this way. Even though I also was like, well, most likely Rhea Ripley and Liv was going to do something in Bad Blood. So for that to happen, I felt like Rhea. That's kind of why I made my decision that Rhea probably was going to have to pin Liv here. To make that, even to justify that. But I do think that still is like the safe route to go, because like we mentioned before, James, this new Judgment Day, as cool as the heel turn and all of that was, you can already kind of see the deeper we get into this story, that they are no match so far for the Terror Twins in a straight up type situation. So I'm kind of glad things went the way they went, but I do still know that that's probably the safest way that things could have went. But this was really good and fun, and I think at the end of the day, it looked like everybody over there was having fun, and I thought the match overall was fun.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, to elaborate on your point, the thing is, with a power couple, is that you have to book them strong, but you don't want them to just become cannon fodder for Priest and Rhea Ripley. And I think, Gina, for me, my prediction said that. But again, there's no doubt Priest and Ripley are monsters. But again, as we talked about with Belair and Cargill, it's who's on their level at this moment in time,
Yeah, definitely. Don't get me wrong. I'm super happy with the result. We needed this, and I feel like the Terror Twins kind of needed it in terms of getting their revenge. But in terms of really needing it for long-term storytelling, if you want Judgment Day to be seen as a formidable team still, and not feel like they've gone down in power since losing Rhea and Damien, the Judgment Day should have won the match here in a way. But I'm not going to complain. I'm happy with the outcome. And we all kind of knew there was going to be tomfoolery. If the others didn't get involved, I had a feeling that Liv would, distract Damien and play Dom would play against that sort of thing. So in a way, I kind of saw this ending coming, but I'm still happy about it. I'm not mad at it, but it does kind of just not look great for the Judgment Day in terms of making them look formidable.
Yeah, because again, they didn't just beat Liv and Dom; they beat the whole Judgment Day. So I think that is maybe the problem. But I mean, Jaxie, would it be fair to say that Dom, because the German crowd was great and they cheered a lot, but Dom was the most disliked of the night? The most hated heel.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely got a roar of boos like consistently throughout. Everyone was on Mommy's side. You kind of expected that anyway, but I do agree with a lot of the points that were made here. It was great because, as you guys said, like I kind of figure we're getting Liv and Rhea at Bad Blood, and you know, um, at this point, there's no doubt that she's going to kind of get that title back soon. But it does make you think about like kind of what direction they're going to be going forward with for Judgment Day, because if they really wanted to continue to make this group look good, like big, they've kind of gone the wrong route with this. So it's kind of like, was it really for the better that you kicked these two out at this point? That's a question that Judgment Day probably are asking themselves. So I wonder where things will go from here for them.
Yeah, we kicked out the strongest and most successful two, the two members of the group. Let's see how we get to. But out of 5 for this one, then Monty, what would you give it?
I give it a 4. Again, very fun. Everybody looked good, like you said. Dom, he just, it doesn't matter where they at. He's probably the most hated. I love it, but yeah, man. I thought this was just overall good.
Yeah, I think without doubt. Gina?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to give this one a 4.25 as well, because even though I do feel ultimately the Judgment Day should have got the win to make themselves look more, set in stone, I still enjoyed the match, and I just loved seeing Mommy get to kick Dom's ass for a bit. So 4.25
She
is
looked
great.
like a monster, man, didn't she?
She did. She really did.
Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm gonna give this a 4.25 again. I really did enjoy this match. Again, it's just like it feels like an up and down win because of like I'm like, this is really good news to see kind of from a face perspective. But again, questions of like what direction to go with for the Judgment Day. So 4.25.
You're going to give it 4.25 as well. Predictions? Everyone, Priest and Rhea, apart from obviously this dumb cunt here who went in the hills. So Gina, Monty on 4, Jackson James on 3. We get the World Heavyweight Championship main event, Randy Orton versus Gunther, and Ludwig gave Gunther his rightful introduction. The ring general absorbed a tremendous beating from the Viper that tested his toughness and resiliency. The title holder delivered a powerbomb, but Orton kicked out. The second attempt at the move resulted in the Viper slipping out and delivering the RKO for a dramatic 2 count. Orton delivered a side suplex off the steel steps and through the announce table, putting Gunther in the greatest peril he faced all match long. Instead, he caught Orton with a sleeper, and despite the babyface's many attempts to break free, earned the victory when the challenger passed out. And the two combatants showed mutual respect, meeting in the centre of the ring after the bell for a handshake that earned a big reaction from the fans in the Uber Arena. Gina, what were your thoughts on this main event, Orton and Gunther?
I thought this match was brilliant. I'm really, really happy with the time that was allocated to this match and how much they put into it. it was so well thought out, and they made Randy just look super, super beastie, as well as still keeping Gunther looking pretty much on top, you know. I think Gunther like sold a lot of things from Orton as well, making him look really, really good, and making some of the hits that Orton was putting on him actually look devastating. To think, oh no, are they actually going to make Gunther lose in his own country, home country? You know, so there were a lot of close calls, and that's one thing that I loved about the match, because it just kept going from one thing to the next. You know, it didn't feel there was any toilet break moments in this match, because if you turned your eyes away, the pin was going to happen. So yeah, for me, I thought the match was brilliant, and I'm happy that Gunther retained, because not that I don't like Orton, and I don't think he doesn't deserve another title run, but if you're gonna have Gunther smash his international championship reign, you're gonna have him smash his, world championship reign. So it's the right call here to make him win.
Yeah, I think you're bang on as well. It's so weird hearing Gunther get a full-blown babyface reaction, as we spoke about, Jaxie. But as Gina just said, I can't see no one beating Gunther till at least 2026, if his previous records are anything to go by.
Yeah. I mean, again, I think my sister explained the match really well. This is a match that probably would get considered for sort of like a WWE candidate match of the year. It really showcased like how like the technique that Gunther uses. Like, it's not exactly like it's just an easy squash it or win for him. This was great in how Randy looked. Like, he really looked formidable. He really did look at points like he could pin Gunther, and it would have been a clean one, you know. I really liked the fact that this kind of went just with no interference. This went really hard, and both men really showcased sort of the strength that they had. So yeah, overall, a really great match, and I think that Gunther really is showcasing sort of like growth, and doing it so well, and really just kind of solidifying like the start of what could be a lengthy reign for the ring general. So I really enjoyed this match a lot.
Yeah, without a doubt. And Monty, this was a Triple H main event, if you know what I mean by that. And again, I wasn't a huge fan of the build-up by trying to say Orton fails, even though he's like a 14-time world champion. But again, they delivered when it mattered.
Yeah, I think the only reason why I didn't mind it is because Gunther has a thing now to where, for some reason, he's just going to go personal. Like his last 3 or 4 feuds, he's going to try to go cut as deep as he possibly can into who you are personally. And so I think he meant just like the past times that Randy was suspended or whatever and all that type of stuff. But you're 100% right. I mean, Randy's a legend. So I think he was just trying to look for some type of way to cut him somehow. Because even he also talked about his granddad. Like why? Like, why talk about how many people have ever just talked about Randy's legacy and like that? So I do think that's part of that character that Gunther's playing now, to where he's literally trying to be the worst possible person he can be, almost unprovoked, but then smashes in the ring as always. This match is great, man. It just it was a continuation of what they kind of put on at King of the Ring, but at the same time, even better. I really was into it. I think this is probably one of the best title matches I've seen. You're right. This felt very Triple H, perfect for Triple H's style. But I think what shocked me the most, really, besides the crowd reaction, I expected, but the seeing the respect after, and just seeing even the sleeper hole type finish deal, was shocking to me, because I'm not really used to seeing Randy in a position like that. But I do think that's a feather in his cap, and that's way more definitive than the roll up and kind of how it played out the first time. Like, at the end of the day, nobody can say this one was a fluke or this one was by the skin of Gunther's teeth. So it was a really, really good match. I thought everything that was up in the air in terms of this feud was settled. And Gunther's on his way. And I'm 100% on your side, James. Like, he's probably not going to lose it for a while. I don't necessarily. Part of me is wondering, can Gunther keep people interested with that thought process? being said, but honestly, his entire main roster or just his entire WWE run has pretty much been that. Like everybody probably knows that the guy he's fighting won't beat him, but he still makes it some of the most compelling wrestling you've ever seen. Gunther is just I don't care I don't care what wrestling you prefer. If Gunther's not in your top 5, top 10 wrestlers in the world, I don't know what you must have not ever seen him do his job. He's awesome.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, the man has held a title 75% of his time in WWE, and no one has done that, not even close. You know, you look at his reigns as well. There was quite a funny moment with Gunther still getting used to being like the champion and certain things. Charles Robinson telling him there was still time at the end of the show and he had to stay in ring, which he probably wasn't too happy about. But then again, who knows? So scores out of 5 then. Gina, what would you give it?
I'll give this 4 3/4.
4 3/4. Jaxie?
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of in between 4 3/4 and 5. So yeah.
We'll give it 4.95. Monty?
That was good.
I'm giving it 5. It was an excellent title defense, excellent contender, excellent champion, excellent setting, excellent crowd. Mm-hmm. Name me something that was legitimately bad. I don't got anything negative to say.
I have the Mexican wave. The crowd shouldn't take over. They should be a part of it, as the English fans know so well. So that's my only thing. But yeah, the match was perfect. 5 for me as well. Predictions, all Gunther. So final scores, James Jackson on 4, Monty Gina on 5. Another perfect score for Monty. Well done, Monty.
Yeah, man. Hey, at this point, I feel like I gotta prepare a speech. At this point, I'm on a run. I don't know what else to tell you. I don't know what else to tell you, James.
Yeah, you're doing something. I don't know. But Gina, congrats. You're back. Perfect score. And if anybody can catch Monty, it is you.
Oh, I am so pleased to have that perfect score. It feels so long since I've had it, so I'm happily going to wear this crown.
Without a doubt. So it means the bonus league, Monty's on 22. Gina on 15. I'm on 14. Jaxie on 8. WWE Monty now takes the lead on 5. I don't know how that happened. I turned round and Monty's now in the lead. I'm on 4. Gina on 3. Jaxie on 2. So let's do match and MVP. Jaxie, what's your match of the night is, of course, the main event, but who's your MVP?
I'm actually going to give Gunther the MVP because I just think he just performed brilliantly and it was great.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina?
Yeah, I can't not go with Gunther as well. Obviously, that was my match of the night too, but Gunther just really shone in this event. It was all about him.
Monty?
Yeah, man, it was all about Gunther, man. The entire show leading up to it. You know, we all know where it was at. He may not be German, but you know, I guess like they said earlier in the feud, James, Austria is close enough, I guess.
Yeah. Well, that's what someone famously said back in 1938. No. What? I mentioned it once. I got away with it. Like you said, though, it's Gunther's night, without a doubt. So, Monty, what would you score this out of 10?
Yeah, man. It was a really good show. I probably stay in. I feel like the overall average for WWE PLEs this year is probably a 9 at this point. They really seem to be consistently in the 8 or 8.5 to 9 to 9.5 range. But yeah, man, this was really good. I don't really have a big moment to where I was like bored or disappointed, you know. And I love, again, anytime they're over in Europe or just out of the country, the time period works perfectly for me. I still get the night to myself. So, yeah, man, it works out perfectly almost for me with these shows. But yeah, I thought this was a really good show. I don't want to say it was the best show because, you know, it wasn't really like a tough one in my opinion. But I do think everything delivered, so I have to give it a 9.
Give it a 9. Yeah, the perfect scores don't hurt, do they? I suppose. Gina, what would you rate it?
Yeah, I was just kind of thinking the same. You know, five matches on the match card. It was a perfect length, and each match did deliver and give us what we wanted. For me, it's a 9 as well.
And Jaxie?
Agreed, 9.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 9 as well. So we've agreed on basically everything. I will give a shout out to Punk with MVP, but yeah, I think Gunther. Gunther was interviewed at the start of the post show. I don't speak German, but he seemed pretty happy. We got the press conference with Cody Rhodes taking the position of Triple H. Now, Monty, if we would have spoke about this when you first started the pod, that Cody was assuming the position of Triple H for the press conference to say this was the largest arena show in history, we would have laughed. Isn't it crazy how times change?
Yeah. I mean, think about how different it was when I first started. I mean, the old man was still around. He was, you know, Cody was EVPing. So, yeah, man, it's weird, really weird. But I think at this point, if you're CM Punk and you're Cody, I think we have our replacements for Shawn and Triple H. At least that's what they seem to be shooting for. I wouldn't be surprised if by 10 years from now, those two guys are head right behind Triple H and Shawn, or trying to take their spots when they're done.
Yeah, without a doubt. He also confirmed January 6th as the Netflix Raw premiere date. He praised the Bish, Daivari,
what a date.
Byron Saxton. Yeah, let's not get into it too much. Regarding a possible match with Randy Orton, Rose said a lot would have to happen for that to happen. So it probably will be. Rose was asked about the upcoming Vince McMahon series on Netflix. He said he weren't sure if he's going to watch. Well, I tell you something, I'm fucking watching. You know what I mean? I don't know if anybody's seen the trailer. I mean, Jaxie, have you seen any of the kind of trailer? Apparently, the Tiger King people are behind it, and they're going to bury Vince on Netflix. I mean, 2 months before they get WWE.
Is it actually? Yeah, I mean, is it actually going to be a burial? Because I don't know. I haven't actually watched the trailer, but I kind of didn't know with the move to go to Netflix for Raw and stuff, whether or not this documentary was really going to be sort of like emphasizing like his accomplishments rather than addressing like all of his like controversies. So what is it?
Well, exactly. We've heard a lot of things. So
I watched the trailer, and it gives off the energy that they're going to kind of do that whole thing where it's, well, Vince is a like kind of like playing it off like he's just a one of a kind type of person, more so like not necessarily positive, but they don't want to. They don't feel like they were going too negative in the trailer either. So, but they claim in reports that they really buried him, like James said. I think they just want people to watch. And I think at the end of the day, based on some of the comments I've already seen, people are going to probably be disappointed. We'll see.
I mean, that kind of doesn't surprise me. I'd probably go into that. If I do decide to watch it, I'd go into it with very low expectations. So we'll see. We'll see whether or not I'm in the mood. I think that will be just a kind of random choice to put it on if I do.
Yeah, there's definitely something that I'm looking forward to seeing. We see Priest and Ripley interviewed. She calls it the pretzel pin. Anybody wondering what she calls that pin? And you all know what I'm talking about. There is no romance. It's like brother and sister. CM Punk said he wants to move on. Jay Cargill, Bianca Belair. Cargill says she was tired of answering questions on AEW, and she's in WWE now and is focused. Blair says she's there to help Cargill. She's relied on other people in the locker room. And yeah, I can hear you, Monty. But Gina, it's true, isn't it? Like Cargill and AEW, it seems to lingered too long now, and we just need to kind of think Cargill is in WWE. Let's just deal with that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've kind of gone past this point now of, WWE stars moving to AEW and then vice versa. It's kind of like we need to just drop that now. When they leave one company, they go to the next. When I leave my current job to go to my next job, I don't expect my next job to be constantly bringing up my previous job. So it's kind of like you need to get with the times and get over it and realize that wrestlers can move promotions and they can drop their storylines and their life at that promotion to start anew in the next one. They don't need to be continuing to hear the baggage of them in their previous role. So yeah, it's going on too long.
Without a doubt. And then we get Gunther, and he was asked a question about European scene thriving. And of course, Gunther mentioned Zack Sabre Jr., Will Ospreay as well. And he said that W has opened the doors recently for this kind of style to be welcomed. The influence came into the company. People have enjoyed it a lot. When asked what he wanted his legacy to be, Gunther said he would try to be the wrestler he could be. And Monty, again, we've spoke about Gunther now for however many years, but we'll talk about the European scene just, quickly. And it is thriving. Not just PLEs coming into Europe, as we had, 3 this year already, but again, the talent, we talk about Ospreay or Zack Sabre Jr. worldwide, but of course you've got other people like Pac or Mariah May and the women's division that we're not even speaking about. It is kind of golden time.
Yeah, man, it's insane. I just can't say enough. I'm also like kind of thankful to you for letting me watch let me watch NXT UK die, because I learned about a lot more people too just from watching. let me watch that show die off, and now I'm seeing the Grizzly Young Vets and just all types of people everywhere doing their thing, like you mentioned, subculture. Like, we can go down the list. It's insane how many, like you said, European wrestlers who, been applying their trade around the world for a long time, and just like Jamie Hayter. I mean, like, like you said, it's insane. It's just insane. The more I think about it, you just more and more names pop up. So it's just an incredible time, and I love the fact that right now they seem to be. Just like you mentioned, not even just in WWE. I think that's another beautiful thing too. It's not like they're just taking over one promotion; they're taking over professional wrestling.
Yeah, without doubt. Well, we move on to Raw. Wade Barrett kicked off the show by introducing a new voice of Raw, the great Joe Testoro. I don't know. Monty told us a bit about him. Go listen to that.
Tessitore!
And Monty was like, don't ever go at him, James. You're being horrible. So everybody can go and hear that if they want. Rhea Ripley opened Monday's show, feeling better than she has in weeks. She turned her attention to the World Championship, was about to challenge Morgan when Mysterio interrupted. We see the reigning champion attack from behind. Ripley was caught in the ropes and threatened by a 2-on-1 beat until Damon Priest made a save and sent the heels to the back. And again, I mean, Gina, when it comes to this thing, I mean, I think the injury is part of the story, but it looked pretty gnarly with Ripley hanging there and probably took Priest back to the Clash.
Yeah, definitely. It did look quite painful, and it's so hard nowadays to know whether something's actually a work or whether something's actually fully an injury, and even just seeing it looked painful to me. So for me, I'm just like, that really is an injury.
We see Otis, Cesaro, and Maxine Dupree lose to American Made, but Maxine looked good. We see Uncle Howdy saying 375 days, my sanity crumbled, referencing the death of his brother Bray Wyatt. Shayna Baszler beats Zelina Vega. After the match, the Hills beat Vega down until Lyra Valkyria, remember her, made the save. Still, the numbers advantage for Pure Fusion Collective proved too great, and the Hills stood tall to close things out. Jaxie, we're a few weeks into Pure Fusion Collective now. How do you think the booking of it, of Baszler and co, have been going?
Shit. Like, I mean, I again just question why pair these guys together, because at first they kind of really looked formidable, and they each have their own strengths in different martial arts, and then like, seriously, what is this? Like, don't get me wrong, I know that you've like kind of wanted to promote now Damage Control going face, but I don't know if like mixing them in with this group at the beginning stages of their like pairing was the right idea to do, because yet again you're burying Shayna. Like, Hunter, what are you doing? Like, she's getting buried on NXT, she's getting buried here. I just like I really have like lost a lot of hope, and it's really disappointing because I really like Shayna as a wrestler, especially with like the start of her run when she first was called up to the main roster. It's just disappointing that like yet again they continuously drop the ball with her, you know?
Yeah, no. It'll be interesting to see what happens coming up. CM Punk made a mistake in assuming Drew McIntyre was in his rearview mirror following his victory at Bash. He even went as far to inform Gunther of his intent for the World Heavyweight Championship, and then he suffered. McIntyre dropped Punk on the announce table, of course called back to WrestleMania. From there he caught 3 claymores and broke his rival's coveted bracelet for shoving the beads in Punk's mouth. Medics took Punk out the arena, but McIntyre attacked again and bloodied his rival in the process. Monty, we've needed this for fucking ages. There's 2 things that happen on Raw: the Ripley injury angle and McIntyre, us finally seeing him put a whooping on CM Punk. You know, this is not over.
No, I think, and like I mentioned earlier, I think now after you get through the brutal strap match and Punk seemed to be healthy, I think now you get more and more, okay, let's get more and more confident with the physical stuff that we're gonna let Punk do on screen, and then let's just test the waters. And I think they're making an already personal feud. Like I mentioned earlier, there's not much else they can say. That's why I thought Punk coming out and challenging for the world title, I thought that was the right move. Not that he was actually needed to be next, but just the idea of it is the right move, because what else can these 2 guys at the time conceivably do to each other? But like you mentioned, it was a mistake. I thought it was expertly done. Drew looked very menacing in this particular takedown. Even Joe, I have to give Joe Tessitore his credit too, because it was his debut, and for somebody who is new to wrestling, he really seemed to be disgusted with Drew McIntyre. And I do like how he when Drew came out of the jacket, that's Drew McIntyre in the hoodie. And I'm like, thank you, somebody. Not trying to talk to me like I'm an idiot. So I'm like, oh, who's that? No, that is Drew. We all know who the hell that is. I don't care about the jackets. But anyway, yeah, I got a kick out of that. But anyway, besides, like I said, the attack was great. It was nice and brutal. He also destroyed the bracelet, so we can get this. Everybody who keeps getting hung up on the bracelet, like they don't understand sentimental value. You know what I mean? Let's get that shit out of the way, and let's just go back to these 2 guys beating the hell out of each other. And this is a nice next step. Like you said, like you mentioned, the strap match built the feud back up, got more heat, and I think this attack also added even more fire to where it's like, you know what? All right, now it's not quite over yet. Let's get back. Let's get to what's next, and let's see how are these 2 guys going to finalize this?
Yeah, without a doubt. And we know they're going to meet at Bad Blood Hell in a Cell as well. It's going to be unbelievable. Ilya Dragunov moved 1 step closer to an Intercontinental title opportunity, defeating Dominic Mysterio and Dragon Lee. And the other one, Strowman defeated Sheamus and Kaiser. Reed did have COVID. The World Heavyweight Champion Gunther's in-ring promo following his successful defense over Randy Orton at Bash was interrupted when Sami Zayn stepped through the curtain and confronted his former foe. He named a handful of superstars who used the Intercontinental title as a stepping stone, including Macho Man, Shawn Michaels and Bret Hart, and he intends to be next to add his name to that list. Gina, again, something I really like, we talked about earlier, call back for something that happened in the past, obviously Zayn beating Gunther, and again the history of once you are Intercontinental Champion, taking that next step, which we haven't really seen in the past few years, you know?
Yeah, definitely. It does feel like, again, if you think about the Intercontinental Championship and its reign before Gunther, it kind of had slipped in terms of the ranks. Like back in the Attitude Era, I would always look at the Intercontinental belt as kind of like the step just before the big main belt, you know? And it definitely, in my eyes, has decreased in value over the years. And Gunther shot it right back up there. So with Sami kind of coming out and saying this promo, it does kind of make sense because he was the one to beat him in that reign. of his, and it's kind of elevated that belt again to be like, okay, if I've moved past the intercontinental belt, then why can't I, go for the big main belt? So it makes sense, and it's nice. But again, it just shows you the wonders that Gunther did when he had that belt.
Yeah, without a doubt, you're right. Right, on to SmackDown then. Bayley defeated Tiffany Stratton. Giovanna Vinci lost in 3 seconds. I mean, come on, guys. KO defeated Waller and Theory. Green defeated Jim. And the main event this week saw Ciampa and Gargano team up with Ford and Dawkins to take on Sikoa, Fatu, Tanga Loa, and Tanga Loa. And it was a final Fox show. Of course, we knew how it started. Monty, I asked you this because obviously, with us being in the UK, maybe not that big of effect, but how has WWE and SmackDown on Fox, how has it been? And now it's ending. Is it going to be that much of a change?
I think for us over here in America, it's going to be a change, mostly because I've always preferred the way USA Network look, the way they present things. If Fox has this annoying thing to where whenever a sign or whenever there's something on screen they don't want you to see, they'll black it out. They will, they will mute certain things. It seemed like we had way more ads. Not to get it's television. We're gonna get ads on USA, but it just for some reason, and you have a lot of them on Raw. Don't get me wrong, but it just for some reason SmackDown always had the worst time. Seems like every time you're trying to check it out live, a commercial would be on. So Fox, for the most part, was an annoyance for a lot of us. And like you mentioned, I will always remember how it started. It just started off like PTSD, my brother. It's tough, man. It was a tough era. I didn't mind it from a presentation perspective because I do think it did give WWE like a more mainstream appeal over here, especially as the content with the pandemic and the Roman Reigns storytelling. I do think having on Fox during the pandemic was a great way to kind of rekindle that flame for maybe certain fans who went away because Fox is like national television over here. So pretty much no matter what coverage you have Fox over here. So I do think it did wonders for that from that perspective, but from just a viewership perspective and just annoyance. And then don't get me started on the many times you thought the show was on Fox, but instead of being on Fox, it's on FS1 because they're showing something else, which is Fox Sports 1. So it's just very frustrating, very frustrating. So yeah, there's a lot of little things that really don't make that era shine too brightly. So I'm excited for it to be on USA because USA has just always been more consistent when it comes to showing off wrestling, even though it's going to be kind of funny when we go to Netflix and you catch Raw one way and then you go to back to regular television for SmackDown. It's going to be kind of funny, but I can't wait to see how it works out.
Yeah, and I think with the Netflix move, and of course we'll speak about it, nearer the time as well. I think that is, again, we know we're in a golden generation of WWE at the moment, but I think that's really going to kind of be the start. Also, the rumours of like Saturday night's main event coming back, which always do when WWE in a kind of peak period, weirdly enough. And again, like I said, with SmackDown, USA Network, who've had Raw on and off since 1993, since it began. So they know they're wrestling there, and they got it for the next 5 years. Raw will be on USA until the end of the year. Of course, it doesn't affect us in the UK until it all changes in January, where we are on Netflix. We've got one Raw left, which is September 9th. The Wyatt Six beat the American Maid in a street fight. And Jaxie, I don't know about you, and again, I love the Wyatt family lore and everything like that, but Dexter Lumis, man, is standing out for me at the moment. This is kind of exactly what he needed,
Yeah, definitely. It's so weird that a change of persona can actually make you sort of pay more attention, but it really does work. And Dexter Lumis is proving that with joining the Wyatt Six. I'm really enjoying what we're seeing so far from him, and he really is standing out, as you said.
Yeah, without a doubt. Well, Balor wants Damian Priest to draw out the rest of the Judgment Day. Rhea Ripley limped to the ring in an attempt to help her fellow Terra Twin, but the numbers proved too much. The Hills laid out the Arch of Infamy with Ripley's crutch until Jey Uso made the save. We also saw as well this relationship between Jay. I mean, Gina, we've spoken about it now with Jay Uso and Rhea Ripley. Will we actually see it develop, or are they just doing it a kind of fan service at this moment in time because that's what people have been talking about?
I just think it's going to be fan service, to be honest. I don't know. I don't think it's going to be like a proper storyline, serious thing. I can more just see it being a fan service. I may be wrong, but for me, I think that's what it is, and it's not going to be much deeper.
We get Cargill and Belair retaining versus Dawn and Fire, and then we get Bret the Hitman Hart returning to Raw, talking about Survivor Series in Vancouver. And speaking about the importance of champions, with Gunther interrupting, he mockingly expressed his love for the Hitman for admitting that his real favourite wrestler was Bill Goldberg. Sami Zayn came out, but it didn't matter because that line, Monty, from Gunther's going a different level, man. I didn't know he had it in him, you know?
I told you, this is his gimmick right now. Like, I don't think, like I said, the Orton thing didn't make sense, but it don't really have to for him. He's just trying to say whatever he can to just annoy or get under the skin of whoever he's talking to at this point. And that's, like you said, that was a part of the character that he didn't have. He always had this, dignity to the ring. He always came off as uppity or just like how he looked down on other wrestlers. But again, the way he's acting now with the street trash stuff, the priest, and the way he did Gable in front of his family and the Sami Zayn story, he's been on a run for a while now, just being one of the most disrespectful guys in wrestling. But like you said, I was sitting there with my wife watching, and I just said he's gonna say Shawn Michaels, right? Because I felt like with Bret, you probably shouldn't go to Goldberg. I had a feeling, but I was like, he's not gonna say that. So when I was like, he's gonna say Shawn, and then he said Goldberg, we both was like, wow. But you also, if you look back at it, Bret wanted to smile. Gunther couldn't keep his face straight for one while saying it. And Bret also, if you just kind of look at it, he did a good job of not breaking, but you can see in his face, he kind of got a kick out of that too, because, I know even Triple H, when he told them before they went out there, most likely, that he was going to say something about Goldberg, I know they all kind of got a laugh out of that because everybody knows how he feels about Goldberg. And everybody, if you know anything about Gunther, Goldberg is the furthest from his favorite wrestler. A guy who grew up on Japanese professional wrestling was not going to be into the way Goldberg wrestles. But it was just a great moment. Like you said, it almost overshadowed the segment, even though I did already see the Sami Zayn connection coming, and I do like it. But yeah, that entire comment was pretty much that whole segment.
Without a doubt. We mentioned McIntyre and Punk will be Hell in a Cell. The announcement was made by General Manager Adam Pearce, diverting Scott's attention from his friend Wade Barrett, which again was a really interesting moment for me because Drew went over to Wade and basically saying that, why did you stop me beating Punk? And Wade stood up. And again, the way he did, and Jaxie, we've seen a lot of wrestling, is that maybe where they can go after the CM Punk feud? And would you be happy to see Wade come back?
I mean, I think I feel like I wouldn't actually turn my nose up at like seeing Wade Barrett return, but like I feel like if they're gonna do that, they really should like do something with him and not have like this sort of moment like not count, because he has become like started becoming like a voice of WWE. Is like make this run count if you're gonna kind of take him off of like commentary and actually give him like a decent run. I would be quite intrigued to see, like how well he can fare in the ring. How many years has it been since he's last been in the ring?
My word, I think we're looking maybe 8 or 9 years now.
9 years, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I think it would be interesting to see if he's kind of like, got it in him to shake off any ring rust and, like have a decent run. So yeah, I'm intrigued by this.
He never had a proper send off though, so it'd be nice.
No, yeah, but again, it'll be interesting what they do because Wade Barrett was always this guy that maybe had potential, but again, I was interested in it, and again, if you can get a babyface reaction, then that would be good. We saw Finn Balor destroying Rey Mysterio, and Jey Uso will challenge Bron Breakker for the Intercontinental title after he outlasted Ilya Dragunov, Pete Dunne, and Braun Strowman. Now, Gina, going to put you on the spot, but is Jey Uso going to become the Drew McIntyre, basically, at this moment in time? Is he going to fail again against Von Breakker?
Do you know what? This is really difficult. This is putting me on the spot because I don't really know the answer to this. I really don't. I want Jade to be the one to possibly put Braun down, but he's kind of only just got the belt. And if they want him to come across as such a baddie as what they want him to be, or what I think they want him to be, he kind of needs to get the win over Jay, if anything, really. But then that means that they're constantly squashing Jay, you know? And I'm just like, how much more is Jay going to take of this? And especially if you want him to go back to kind of like bloodline stuff soon, then his singles reign really out of the bloodline stuff is kind of going to be for naught, you know? I don't really want it to feel like that, but that's how it's going to feel at this point if he doesn't win.
I can say as well, though, I'm not sure if he's going to win or lose, but I do want to see Ilya Dragunov and Pete Dunne because, man, those two. I mean, I love them anyway, but I just want to see one-on-one.
Oh, yeah. When me and Jax were even seeing those two kind of square up in this match, we were both saying we want to see these two one-on-one.
And then finally, SmackDown, the first on USA, the new theme, the new logo. Still not sure. We've got fireworks. We got fire. Celebrating 25 years. Sheesh. I actually remember when it first started. My God. We started with a steel cage match for the W title, Solo versus Cody. Rose scored the pin to retain the championship. The Bloodline showed up, attacked Cody afterwards. Jacob Fatu was about to hit a splash from the top of the cage, but distracted by Roman Reigns' music. The OTC entered the cage, began taking out everyone. Fatu saved Solo from a spear for squaring off with Roman. So they dragged him out while Tama and Loa went after Reigns. Rose and Reigns took them out for having a tense stare-off. And again, I will say this, and people can argue me, but I think this first half hour, which was advert-free, was the perfect presentation of everything. From the very beginning of Triple H coming out, the introduction, like I said, the fireworks, the match itself, the Reigns thing. And Monty, as we spoke about, when no one can do it as good as WWE, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, man. Like you said, just big time presentation. You know, the energy in the building. I think they was in Seattle. I thought the crowd was great. They were really on fire for the cage match. And like you mentioned, just the presentation, the new look, like the freshness. It feels like a new era, and I think that's what you want when you're trying to establish a new show, or establish a new season of a show in this particular case. And SmackDown, like you mentioned, Johnny's been around my whole life pretty much at this point. So it's I'm a little bit older than it, like you mentioned, but I get this, I was like 4 years old in '99 on that first episode when Triple H and The Rock were in the main event. So there you go. But anyway, besides that, I just want to say this: if you hate Solo Sikoa and it's not storyline reason, then you get on my nerves because I just don't understand the criticism that he get. Like, I felt like that was probably the best Solo match that he ever did. And you still got certain people online just giving more credit to Cody. I'm not saying Cody didn't bump his ass off for him, but I thought Solo did great in his role in the match. It did, but I think any criticism I got of Solo got more so to do with booking than it has to do with Solo. But other than that, like you said, this is a beautiful way to start this new era.
Right. Now, we thought it was going to be Ricky, but it turned out to be Randy as he and Owens beat Waller and Theory. And again, Waller and Theory with Owens has been wildly entertaining. Maybe more than I thought they would be, with like the comedy aspect to it. And again, the finish with the RKO and the stun at the same time was absolutely breathtaking. We also saw Nia Jax with Tiffany Stratton set up a tag match for next week against Naomi and Bayley. Whoever wins, the faces win. Whoever gets the pin will get a match at Bad Blood. Whoever loses will be fired from SmackDown from all time. I'm just glad it's not convoluted. And we got Andrade beating Mello in match 5. And again, Jaxie, I mean, for all the AEW fans saying we're the best wrestle, Andrade and Melo in this kind of best of 5 that we've seen have delivered fantastic in-ring action.
Yeah, I mean, I have yet to watch last night's SmackDown, but I'm sure that this match was probably just as good as some of their other bouts. I like what they're doing with these two at the moment because if they work well together and they can showcase like what they both can do really well. So I'm interested to see kind of like again whether or not this could end up being like a Sheamus and Claudio kind of a situation at the end of it or anything. But it's been really fun, so I look forward to it.
And then early in the show, Rhodes refused an offer to team with Reigns to take on Sikoa and Fatu, so Nick Aldis and Reigns came out to close the show. Rhodes eventually joined them in the ring before much could happen. Solo and Fatu came out. Tamara Loa attacked Cody and Roman, but were taken out. Reigns then signed a contract for the tag match and reluctantly handed it to Rhodes, who inked his name to end the show. And again, Gene, I don't know if you saw SmackDown or not, so we are getting Cody and Roman versus Solo and Jacob at Bad Blood, but it seems that Fatu is the biggest star of the new bloodline.
Yeah, I mean, no,
Oh, yes.
I haven't watched SmackDown, so I didn't know about this. But yeah, I mean, I'm not mad at Fatu being pushed at all or anything like that. I think it is good because we need to see him more showcased, and I don't have a problem with Solo either. So I feel like all the, like Monty said, the hate that Solo is getting is really just unwarranted. I actually think he's doing great. So yeah, I mean, everyone's still entertained by this storyline, and if they had a SmackDown without anything to do with the bloodline, people would complain about that. So you're damned if you do and damned if you don't.
You're out of doubt. Monty, seeing as you saw it, and again, I know you're old, but you've seen videotapes of Rock and Austin, together as the two, but I don't remember them teaming up together. And
Not
that
once.
is the reaction where I'm getting from this is exactly how I felt. And I lived through the Attitude Era, man. So I can actually tell you guys kind of this is what it felt like. The reaction of Roman and Cody, it is just, again, I don't know how to put it into words. We are living through it. We should make the most of these situations.
Yeah, man. People get online and they debate, and I just think, man, like I love. This is my favorite thing to tell people now, man. Just sit your ass down and watch the wrestling because it's just so good. It's just like we're so spoiled. Like you mentioned that, John. You mentioned living through the Attitude Era. I lived through the era of like 2010 through 2019, I guess, or whatever.
Sorry, man.
Like exactly. I mean, come on, man. Like I lived through the era where we were begging to get another guy that wasn't John Cena or Randy Orton to step up, and now we have two guys at the top of their game, peak popularity. And again, things are just so interesting because I think on both sides now with this thing, I hated Cody doing this, but at the same time, I understood why. I just wish Cody would have tried to stood up for himself a little bit more to not get in this mess. Mostly because if I'm Kevin, if I'm Randy, I'm pissed. And if I'm on Roman's side of it, if I'm looking at this and I'm final boss, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? You know what I mean? That guy took you. He took the title. You supposed to be the head of the table. He took that from you. And Roman Roman at least was maintaining before the Cody situation that this was family business and all of that. But Cody getting into it though was just, again, I get why they're doing it, and I think what we're gonna get at Bad Blood is gonna be some interesting scenario to possibly set up Survivor Series. But I'm just saying, I do think that the best part about this is that the fallout from this is probably going to be even more interesting than the match, besides seeing Jacob and Fatu and Roman in the same ring for the first time. I think in a match setting, I think that's going to be incredible. I can't wait to see because who's weak, James? Like, Solo's the only one with the weak presentation pretty much in this match. So Jacob has been dominant every time we've seen him. So can you imagine him beating the hell out of Roman the way he's been doing again, or Cody the way he's been doing again?
Cody again. I don't want to give predictions away because I'm always fucking wrong anyway. But Cody getting pinned by Jacob Fatu makes the most sense, though, because again, you can then build Solo and Roman and Jacob and Cody from that. But again, watching Cody and Roman in the ring, and again, anybody listen and exactly, Jaxie Gina, you've not seen it yet. That felt like a WrestleMania main event again.
Oh, yeah.
And they've already done it twice. So, again, it's so weird.
Oh, yeah.
And again, if you have
if
Cody...
they want to, they can turn Cody heel.
That's
and
what I'm
do it
saying.
again.
If they do that, if they do like Homelander Cody versus
Right.
it's just business. You don't know how much to main event WrestleMania 3 times is unbelievable. So just really good stuff. Bad Blood is shaping up to be a hell of a PLE as it is. We talk about, will Punk and McIntyre be main event? Not if we're getting this Reigns and Cody tag match, I guess. We're getting Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley. We're getting Finn Balor and Damian Priest. And I guess we're getting Gunther and Sami Zayn. So it's going to be a hell of a time, So it's going to be good. Jax, any final points on what we've seen with the Bash, Raw, SmackDown, or coming up with Bad Blood?
No, exactly. I think you ended it well in saying, like all good things kind of, to look forward to. This really shapes up to kind of really have a good feeling of like there is bad blood going into bad blood. So the way that things are being booked right now for the current matches announced do give way for it to be potentially a good pay-per-view. Only time will tell. We'll see it. And, booking.
Yeah, without a doubt. Gina, anything else left to say about Bash or coming up to Bad Blood?
No, just that I'm looking forward to more stories being played out, and intrigued to see where the storylines are going to go from Bad Blood.
Yeah, without a doubt. Final thing I want to say, and I'm going to elaborate it more on podcasts that go on, but wrestlers singing their own theme tunes. I'm seeing it a lot more in WWE, like Rhea Ripley, Bronson Reed, CM Punk to an extent, and it just shows the kind of happiness in the performer and then being in the right place, and we're seeing it with a product which is happening at this moment in time. So that's it. Don't forget, we're across all social media, Twitter at the WNR Podcast. I'm at the WNRJI. You can find the entire WNR team on the Twitter banner. Monty, where can people find you?
At my monthly pod, you can hit me up on there. I got a lot of exciting things I'm working on, and can't wait to share it with you. But go to at my monthly pod on Twitter to check me out.
No doubt. Jaxie?
Yeah, I'm across Twitch, X, and Instagram at Jaxie Scarlett.
Gina?
Yeah, and I'm on the same at Purple Pain.
Perfect. YouTube, WNR Podcast, with all the latest clips and podcasts got at the same time on YouTube. Do SoundCloud on your phone, also Spotify and iTunes, where you can download, subscribe, rate, and review there. So that is it. Our next episode is AEW All Out, which will be next weekend, I think next Sunday. We'll catch up with everything AEW as well, in basically what was like a nuclear holocaust of a pay-per-view, which I cannot wait to dissect. Until then, I've been James Rowlands, and I was joined by the fantastic Jaxie Scarlett. I mean, Jaxie, you might not win, but you still show up, and that's commitment.
It's been fun, and onwards to the next one. I'm sure I'll win.
It'll be fine. And, of course, the mind of Monty was just kind of I can hear your confident swagger at this moment in time,
Yeah, I mean, I'm feeling very Gunther-ish right now. Feeling very Gunther-ish.
Yeah, no, that's an excellent point. But come on, the Ilya Dragunov, the Sami Zayn, so to speak, of the WNR Podcast, the G side, the genius of Gina. You've got this. Can you catch Monty by the end of the year?
I mean, I'm happy to share this winning spot with Monty here, but I'm not happy to share my G side. So I definitely hope that I've got it back now and I can take my top spot fully. You wish.
All right, everybody calm down. We're going to find out who wins AEW Prediction League next week. But until then, thanks for listening, everybody, and bye.